Hiv everyone, and greetings from the Cannes Film Festival. I'm going to be bringing you lots of coverage from the festival over the coming weeks, and I'm kicking things off with a biggie. It's the highly anticipated Mad Max prequel, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which is once again directed by the master of maximalism, George Miller. Fun fact, Mad Max Fury Road actually got its world debut at the Cannes Film Festival 9 years ago, almost to the exact same date. Nearly a decade has passed since Fury Road, and the film has earned so much clout. It won 6 Oscars and is considered one of the best action movies of all time, so there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype building up for Furiosa, but I'm happy to report that Furiosa is a spectacular prequel that not only matches the jaw-dropping action set pieces that we got in Fury Road, but it also enriches the franchise overall with its expansive world building. Fury Road has kind of garnered this reputation as this masterclass 2-hour chase scene, but Furiosa is a decade-spanning revenge epic origin story of our beloved Furiosa, played in Fury Road by Charlize Theron, and in this film she's played for the first hour by Lila Brown, and then Anya Taylor Joy plays her in the last hour and a half. The story is once again quite simple, but it's not a copy and paste job. This film is set somewhere between 15 and 20 years prior to the events of Fury Road, and we see a young Furiosa getting kidnapped from her home of the Green Place of the Many Mothers. She's held captive for several years by a menacing warlord called Dementors, played in this film by a gleeful Chris Hemsworth, who's sporting a beak of a prosthetic nose and a chew the vowels Aussie accent. And then later on in the film, we see Furiosa being held captive by another man, a returning character. You all know Immortan Joe, played in this film by Lucky Hume, who you wouldn't believe wasn't being played by the same actor who played him in Fury Road. He was played in that film by Hugh Keays-Byrne. But yeah, this is very much Furiosa's origin story. And she wants 2 things in this. First of all is revenge on the men who've held her captive all these years, as well as the desire to return home, which makes this movie more character-driven than the previous plot-driven films in the franchise. Like I said, this film only enriches the other Mad Max movies because we get more backstory on Furiosa and Immortan Joe, and Miller expands on the world building by giving us more context on the wastelands, the Green Valley, and the bullet farms. So yeah, Furiosa arguably has the best balance of meaningful emotional character development and epic sprawling action set pieces. And for that reason, I'm sure a lot of people will be saying that Furiosa is the more superior film to Fury Road. And if you were to have that opinion, I think it's perfectly valid, but I do feel like I personally prefer Fury Road just a little bit more. Furiosa definitely has more emotionality, but for me, you just can't beat that surprise wow factor that we got from watching Fury Road for the first time, okay? It sort of reinvigorated the action genre, okay? It changed the game. There was fairly low expectations for Mad Max Fury Road back in 2015, but the film's success was phenomenal. You know, it won 6 Oscars, critics loved it, audiences loved it. But yeah, because of its success, we are going into Furiosa with unreasonably high expectations. But what's remarkable is that George Miller has delivered a prequel that can stand alongside Fury Road quite proudly. Whichever film you think is the better film really just comes down to your own personal preference, because these are 2 great action movies. But yeah, it's like nigh on impossible to recapture the same lightning in a bottle magic that we got with Fury Road, but good golly wow, does George Miller come pretty darn close. George Miller has done what he can and then some to up the spectacle of the action set pieces in this film. Not only do we get like the war rigs and motorbikes and monster trucks back in this one, but he's introduced new vehicles and machines into the mix. So you've got like diggers and cranes and paragliders at one point. Those that were worried about this film being a little bit more dependent on visual effects in this film as opposed to Mad Max's more practical approach need not worry. Like, I thought it was pretty seamless. There's definitely visual effects used throughout, but they're still blended in beautifully with so many practical stunts. And Miller's camera work is high octane and dynamic as you'd expect it to be. The performances in this are all superb. Lila Brown shines in this movie. I know everyone's gonna want to talk about Anya Taylor Joy, but Lila Brown deserves equal amount of praise for playing Furiosa, because she has like over an hour of screen time. I was actually kind of shocked by how long we spent with Elila Brown as young Furiosa. She brought a lot of depth and emotionality to it, and she was very plucky and resilient. Yeah, she was great. And Anya Taylor Joy is also on top form here. You might have seen on social media that Anya Taylor Joy only really has like 30 lines of dialogue, which doesn't seem like all that much dialogue for the titular character, but Anya Taylor Joy's eyes speak volumes when she's on screen. They are a window into the anger-fueled quest she has for vengeance. Chris Hemsworth is a hoot and a half in this as Dementus, and you can tell he's clearly having a lot of fun with the part, but he is also a fantastic antagonist because this is another reason why Furiosa feels elevated in terms of the Mad Max franchise, is that Dementus and Furiosa are kind of like mirrors of each other, okay? They both have terrible, tragic backstories and are fueled by a lust for vengeance. There's a nice dichotomy there between Furiosa and Dementus because she clings on to hope of someday returning home, but he's given up on all hope. I also want to give a shout out to Tom Burke, who plays another warrior figure in this film called Praetorian Jack. He's kind of an unexpected mentor figure to Furiosa, because he is still a badass, but there's layers of kindness, compassion, and honor nuanced into his performance. While it's unclear how much time he and Furiosa actually spent together, you can see the impact he had on her. Again, it just adds more context to Charlize Theron's performance in Fury Road. Do I think that Furiosa will have some Oscars chances? Oh yeah, it's gonna be a tight battle in the tech categories next year. What with this going up against Warner Brothers' other sun-scorched, deserty, big blockbuster franchise movie, Doom Part 2. Remember, both Mad Max Fury Road and Doom Part 1 got 10 Oscar nominations and both managed to win 6. When it comes to Furiosa's nomination tally, I'm expecting a similar amount of nominations, but I don't think it's going to get double digits because of the fact that Fury Road came out when we had 2 sound categories, sound design and sound mixing. Now it's just 1 category. So I think it's unlikely it's going to break 10 nominations next year. But I would say that production design, costume design, hair and makeup, sound, visual effects, cinematography, and editing all seem very likely. Best original score could happen, but the previous film didn't get a nom for that. For those of you wondering about acting nominations, no, sorry, I don't see it happening. I don't think this is going to be the film that gets Anya Taylor Joy her first Oscar nomination. I mean, Charlize Theron couldn't do it, and you know, she was probably a lot closer to it than she is, but yeah, the Academy rarely nominates performances in genre films, so yeah, I just don't think this performance from an action movie is going to quite cut the cheese. But the 2 categories that I'm really unsure about as of right now are Best Picture and Best Director. And I will say it's absolutely worthy to be nominated in both those categories. But again, will the Academy give 2 of the 5 Best Director slots to filmmakers who've made big, action-packed blockbusters, especially given that Denis Villeneuve was snubbed for Doom Part 1, which was quite an egregious snub. George Miller got the nom for Fury Road. Denis didn't for Doom Part 1, so yeah, arguably Denis got more of a sympathetic narrative to be nominated for Dune Part 2. But there are also 2 massive franchise movies from Warner Brothers, and we've got another one coming up this year with Joker Folie à Deux. Are they going to give Warner Brothers 3 Best Picture nominations for big popcorn movies? I don't know. I would love to see it happen for Furiosa and George Miller as well, but at the moment, I feel like they're strong maybes instead of absolute certainties. What do you guys think? How many Oscar nominations do you think Furiosa and Doom Part 2 are going to get next year? Whatever you have to say, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you haven't done so already, would like to help me reach my end of year goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers, if you could hit that little subscribe button for me, I would really appreciate it. So let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Absolutely. Furiosa would make a fantastic double billing with Fury Road, or if you want to do a Mad Max marathon, yeah, all the movies would be good fun. But yeah, I can't wait to watch Furiosa again and add it to my collection when I get back home. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? This is a very easy yes. If you are a fan of any of the Mad Max films, then yeah, you're going to love this, okay? George Miller kind of pulled off the impossible of making a prequel to, you know, what many consider to be like a masterpiece action movie, and have the prequel be just as good, and some might actually find it better. Again, gun to my head, I still think I prefer Fury Road a little bit more, but they're still both fantastic movies. So yes, Furiosa absolutely gets a recommendation from me. And question number 3, what score would I give it out of 10? Furiosa delivers exactly what you would want from a Mad Max prequel. You've got a heart-pounding score from Tom Hulkenberg, a roaring sound design from Rob McKenzie, heavy metal-infused details in the props, sets, and Jenny Beavan's costume designs, as well as meaningful emotional characterization and world building that goes alongside George Miller's bombastic direction and propulsive action set pieces. Other than it feeling a little bit too long, and sometimes it was a bit confusing as to how much time had passed with the time jumps, I had a blast watching this movie. So I'm gonna give Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, a score of 8.5 out of 10. But as always, guys, it's just one bloke's opinion. Wanna hear from you. Are you excited for Furiosa? Have you seen it? If you have, what do you make of this movie? If you wanna follow all my Cannes coverage, be sure to follow us on the socials. Yep, I brought this with me from the set back home. But yeah, you can find me on all those. They're in the video description down below. For more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.